here we're trying to respect both views and opinions and kind of just trying to put both sides out there.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Fuck the Stigma podcast today. I have Audrey here with me.
Hi, Laisha.
Hi, Audrey. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I brought Audrey here today to talk on the very controversial topic of abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there's a big stigma associated with abortion, especially recently with very recently, Roe versus Wade overturned. So today we want to look at both sides of the coin and kind of just talk about it, put it out there. So what do you think the stigma is around abortion? Like, how would you describe it?
Well, first, I felt like nobody could know that I was pregnant and that I would be judged.
With just being pregnant?
Just being pregnant, alone.
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't tell anybody that. Especially being in a sober living. And, all the people I'm around, I know people will be like, oh my God, she's pregnant. Did you hear that she's pregnant?
Yeah.
I don't want that. And
then it's going to be talked about.
Yeah, 100%. And most likely in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And so then once I decided to get an abortion, I was like, I can't tell anybody that. Because I know there's it's very divided.
Yeah. It's either one side or the other.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk to somebody or if I wasn't okay about it and I wanted to reach out and talk to somebody, I don't know that person's opinion on it. So what if I piss them off or
what, you want to kill your baby?
Yeah, and then I'm like, fuck, I never should have said anything.
Yeah. What made you want to... So, did you know right away you were going to get one, or was it a decision-making process?
I made the decision right away, but, so Planned Parenthood told me that I could take the pill before 8 weeks, and if I wanted to do surgically, it would have to be after 13 weeks, and that's over 3 months pregnant. So I was like, I don't want to... be pregnant and get attached to that for 3 months and a week.
Yeah.
So I went to another doctor's office and they said I don't need to do that. And I chose to do it surgically because I didn't want the pill.
So one place was saying you had to wait longer and that's weird.
I was like, why would you want me to wait until I'm over 3 months pregnant to terminate it?
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I found out at 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how far along were you when you had it?
I was 8 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you openly talked about this with anybody yet?
My dad.
Just your dad?
My therapist.
Your therapist?
Yeah.
So is this the first time you're talking about it openly?
Yeah. Very openly.
on a platform, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to some staff and support at my sober living. But I still didn't.
So you were scared of what everybody was gonna think, say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at first I was to be honest, I didn't care. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get an abortion, it's fine. But then the weeks started going on, and I started feeling the physical changes in my body. I was so sick all the time.
Yeah.
My boobs were growing, and I was peeing all the time, and I would get cramps, and that was just a reminder of what's going on in me, because the first couple weeks I couldn't tell and I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it's it wasn't happening. But then I started noticing things, and it was constant reminders every day. And
how did that personally make you feel?
Awful. I was like, shit, there's a living thing inside me. I was like, this is what I was inside my mom.
Yeah.
I was this once.
Fuck.
I'd look up pictures of it and how big it is and yeah, and then I was like, fuck, I started feeling real guilty. And then my boyfriend at the time didn't want me to get one.
An abortion?
Yeah.
He wanted a kid?
Yeah. He was very against it. Just the way he his political standpoints and the way he grew up and stuff. Mm-hmm. He was very against it. So that made it hard too. I couldn't talk to him about it. When I scheduled the appointment and everything, he didn't want to know when it was.
Oh, fuck.
He said, you do you. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to talk to my boyfriend about this.
Yeah, not even okay. So you felt like you were kind of just dealing with this alone a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in another state away from my dad. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had my friends in Oregon I talked to, but we're not that close, and I don't really talk to them anymore. Mm-hmm. The last time I talked to them was probably when I told them I was pregnant. But one of my friends, when the Roe versus Wade thing happened, she was sharing things on her Instagram story about like how like abortions aren't allowed, how they're not okay, like what kind of person you are if you get one. And I was like, oh shit, that's my best friend posting that.
Fuck.
So I was like, there's no way in hell I'm talking to her about that. So I was like, all right. So
yeah. What made you feel like you had to get one? Was it where you are in life, your age? Did you feel like you just couldn't support a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I was 4 months clean when I found out.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not that much time at all. I found out in July. I am in a sober living. I was like, I'd have to move out of sober living.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll be ready at that point. Yeah, when I went to Planned Parenthood, they gave me like a due date and like all this stuff. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to have this baby in March, apparently. Well, I don't think I'll be ready to leave sober living in March. You know, financially, I can't support a kid. Yeah. And the relationship I was in was not it.
Yeah. So there's a thing of your life now has to also be your kids. It's also your kid's body now.
Yeah.
So it's like your view is it would be wrong for me to have this kid because it wouldn't have the best life that it could.
That's why I thought of adoption.
Oh, you thought about adoption. You thought of like other options as well.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks. I was like really thinking about that.
What skewed you away from the adoption? Because
I was already like 7.5, like 8 weeks pregnant right before my abortion. My abortion, I was like 8.5. And I was like, I already feel bad and like shocked that there's this thing in me. Like, how could I carry it to full term? You know, and then just give it away. Like, I know I'm not going to want to do that. Yeah. Because I was like, this thing's going to call me mom. Is it going to be a boy or a girl? I was like, I love my mom so much. So, like, this kid would love me. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, and then like seeing it on ultrasounds and stuff, which I said when I got it done, I didn't want to see it.
Do you think people don't like us referring it to it?
Probably. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. The fetus.
The fetus.
The fetus. It was
the fetus, yeah.
It was a fetus.
Yes.
The fetus.
So I don't know. Would you call it? Would you call the fetus?
See? It's hard.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard when you like don't want to offend the fetus or other people.
I know.
Yeah. Was it hard? So what was your relationship like with your mom? And was it hard knowing that like experiencing this, say, from like trying to view it from your mom's perspective? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so me and my mom were very close. Always have been. I mean, there's like some emotional disconnect and like some emotional trauma things instilled from her. But overall, we were very close. And she was a good mom. And I was just thinking like, that could be me. And then I was thinking like of the things like I wanted to do better than my mom did. I'd be like, oh, my mom was doing this. I would want to do this differently. Yeah. And then I was just thinking so far ahead, and it was like fucking with my head. I was like, no.
Yeah. So, did you feel any guilt in terms of like having the abortion? Like, what was the process like afterwards, the feelings?
Yeah. Physically, I had like no side effects at all. I didn't really have any cramping, not really that much bleeding like they said I would. But it was like all I could think about for days. I'd be like, it's the fetus is not in me anymore. You know, I was like, it was this morning.
Now it's not.
Now it's not. Yeah. You know, it was a really fast, easy, quick process, but it just, yeah. And then it started hitting me more like weeks. Like I just got sad about it like last week. I had it done in August. Like
the baby, the fetus didn't just lose its life. Like you also like lost something too. Like it was a part of you. Yeah. And it wasn't easy to make the decision.
No, it was for me at first. And I always said when I was younger, like in my past relationships and stuff, like if I ever got pregnant, I just get an abortion. Like it's no big deal.
Yeah. Because like I no biggie.
Throw things to the side and like, oh, I don't have feelings. Like I'm fine.
I did the same thing.
Like that shit won't bother me. But then it did, and I was like, oh.
You're avoidant when it comes to feelings.
Yeah. Very.
So like actually having to deal with this like head on, like there's no avoiding it.
Yeah, I know.
that was hard.
Yeah. No, it was being pregnant was a struggle. Like,
Well,
I'd be throwing up in the bathroom at IOP, and all these girls would be in there. I was throwing up all the time, and they just stare at me or like ask me if I'm pregnant or something, and it's like I can't tell them. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't. You can't talk about it.
Scared of the backlash and what people would think.
Yeah, for sure.
In a way, did you you didn't feel safe telling anybody?
No.
What were your previous views on abortion?
Basically, that it should be offered, and that I supported it 100%. Whether you wanted it or if it was for a medical reason or like if you were raped or something, I was for it.
So you think there should be an option no matter what?
I do. I don't know what I would have done.
Try and look at it from the other perspective, though.
That's
how do you think the pro-lifers feel? What do you think their views are on it?
That's what I started thinking was towards the end, and right after I got it done, I started like shifting my perspective, and I was like, oh, maybe these people like
have a point.
Yeah, I was like, maybe these people know some shit. And yeah, when I went to the office, my house manager took me, and as soon as we pulled in, there was protesters and people outside with these pamphlets and yelling shit, saying I'm an awful person and that baby has a heartbeat and that, they'll take the baby for me and I'm killing something and I'm going to hell. And I was just like,
holy shit.
And then we parked and then we got out and they like followed and said the same shit and like just kept like going at me as I walked in the door.
Fuck.
And then as I was waiting in the waiting room, I could hear them out the window on the street corner saying it.
Damn.
And then on my way out, it was the same thing. And they got in front of my house manager's van and like up to her window and like said the same thing. They're like, you did it. Like, you're awful. Like, I know you just did it. You could have gave the baby to me. I would have taken care of it. And they were just going off. And I was like, fuck. All right.
Damn.
I was like, that's a little
much.
Yeah. I was like, that's a little much. That was hard. That did not make me feel better.
It's kind of just like shaming you for it and out and throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole time.
On there, like, imagine if it was the other way around. Like, you were in a bad position in life. You had the baby. Like, would the pro-choicers be shaming you for having the baby?
Yeah, right. And like how I'm living my life and like what I can provide for the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they would. But
there's fucking hate either way.
Yeah.
You have a baby or
not.
not.
No matter what.
For you, keeping it or not, it was going to be a hard decision.
Yeah.
Especially you're a recovering addict, yes? I'm not saying like that's an excuse to like not have a baby. It's just like you, in a way, maybe you felt like you needed to get your feet in the ground first.
Yeah. I need to be more emotionally mature and know how to, deal with my shit and my emotions and, like grow up. I have to grow up a little bit. I know that if I had the kid, the fetus, the baby, that I would go back home to Oregon. And then it's like, what would I do if I'm in Oregon?
Drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I want to look at it from your past boyfriend's point of view. Like, what were his points?
That's how he was raised, and where he's from was that it's just never okay. So he's like, I just learned from a very young age that that's not okay.
So it was imprinted on him to believe that.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. I
mean, we can't speak for him, but like, do you think he didn't ever have the choice to make his own decision on his views on it? Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, he did not like talking about it, or he didn't take me to my appointment. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to have him take you to your appointment and all that.
Is that what like kind of distanced your guys' relationship?
Yeah. I was pretty checked out before, but then like the way he was treating me and acting towards me while I was pregnant and like physically sick and emotionally stressed out, and during the whole abortion process just pushed me away even more. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want any of that.
At the end of the day, you wanted someone to respect your decision.
Yeah.
It's a hard choice to make.
Or like
overall.
if I'm physically sick and I'm super tired and falling asleep, or like I just am emotionally sad, or like don't get mad at me.
When you were like researching before you made the decision, what did you find?
Like what I would research about the fetus?
Yeah.
I would Google like however many weeks I was, like fetus at like 8 weeks. And then it would show up with a picture of it and the size comparison, the measurements, what's developed in the last week, what's going to develop next, more physical changes in your body that'll happen this week. The heartbeat, like the heart rate.
Did it have a heartbeat?
Yeah.
People believe that like the life is made already in conception.
I've thought about that because I'm like, there's a heartbeat, so like it's living, you know, and like it was like starting to get like little like fingers, like webbed fingers and stuff, and like look like a little dinosaur. Yeah. What
other things have you experienced in your life that you found hard to talk about because of a stigma? Say you internalize the stigma, or you just don't feel comfortable sharing about it because of other people's views. Abortion was one of them. Do you have anything else?
Probably my mom's death.
Why?
Because I feel like nobody really wants to talk about death, or they don't know how, or like when I do tell someone like my mom dies, it's just like a pity thing or whatever, and I'm like, and they apologize and like hug me, and I'm just like, no, like it's okay, you don't need to feel bad for me. Like I don't like that support.
You don't like the emotional support of like helping someone and being there for someone that had somebody important to them die.
The idea, yeah, but like it happening, no. I just want to act like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that I'm okay.
In a way, they were helping you acknowledge it, and you didn't want it.
No, I don't want to acknowledge it.
Are you overall? Oh. Are you grateful that they did? Because more time could have gone by, and you wouldn't have thought about it or acknowledged it. Yeah. Are you grateful that people did do that in hindsight?
Yes, people do offer to talk to me about it and like genuinely care about it. Sometimes I don't want to bring it up or something because like someone doesn't know what to say. So like I don't want to make them uncomfortable, you know? Like if they like ask about my mom or like my parents and like I just like mentioned my dad, they're like, what about your mom? And I'm like, oh, she just died in February. And they're like, what do you say to someone whose mom just died like 6-7 months ago? And I'm like,
there isn't really like a right.
That's what I was like.
Moving on. Yeah. There's not really like a right thing to say because it could just become a pity party, or you're just like, oh fuck, I'm sorry. I don't know. That is weird. How do you go about that? How do you go about talking about it? But it's something that needs to be talked about as well. Like, actually, you know what? I did lose my mom a few months ago. It was really hard.
Yeah. Or also, I guess, like, in a way, like, in a weird way, like, I might be kind of, like, embarrassed that my mom died or that I don't have a mom. That, like, I don't, like, she's just not there. I mean, if that makes sense. Like, that I don't really have a family. Like, I just have my dad.
It makes sense. I see what you're saying. So you feel embarrassed that you don't have that perfect household family back home.
Yeah. Or like that I don't even have a mom.
Because everybody thinks as like a good perfect family, like a well household. You have 2 parents, maybe a fucking dog, a sibling. Yeah, but it's not like that. The reality is not everybody's family is going to be like that.
Yeah, no.
For me, like growing up in America, that's how I was embarrassed in my family. Even though I have 2 parents and a sibling, it's just like my brother's trans, one's a lesbian. Parents just like trying to figure out their way in the world as well as us.
Yeah.
So it's like I was embarrassed of that. Like we find a way to be embarrassed of like how we grew up.
Yeah. No, we do. You're right. Yeah, and like my parents did like portray like the perfect family, and like my parents were married, and I was an only child, and you know. And like I always thought that of them, but then like slowly like I got older and realized that like that's not realistic, and like that's not the case.
Yeah. I wanted to like I think in a way the past few months for you have been a way of almost like a learning experience with death in your life. What have you gotten out of it? What have you learned? What have you felt?
I have learned that what's the word? I am not like resilient from it, if that makes sense. Like
Explain.
death can happen around me.
Yeah.
And like I never thought it would. My mom was like the only person I've known who's that close, that I've like the only person I've known that's died. And then like the abortion and stuff, like I was just like, oh no.
Your mom was the only person that you've known that died?
Yeah. So I mean like my grandma and stuff, but I didn't know her. But yeah. So like I always thought like I was like bulletproof against that.
Yeah, like nobody. I thought the same thing.
Same thing I thought with my abortion. That's never gonna happen.
That's never gonna happen.
Yeah, like
happens.
when that Roe versus Wade thing came out and stuff, I was like, I was like, oh, that's so shitty, and like all the girls and everything. But I'm like, but personally, that doesn't affect me. That won't ever happen.
Yeah.
And then it did. It always does. Just like I never thought I'd be a drug addict.
I never thought I would either.
It's a pattern in my life. I was like, I never thought I'd be a drug addict.
Mm-hmm. You surprised
Ever.
yourself.
And then here I am, sober living. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was the one that would never experience death in my life as well.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I know these
Never.
people that have like, but they were like acquaintances. They were a friend of a friend that passed away. And then it fucking happened to me and I was like, no way. I feel like I lost the closest person that I could have lost.
Yeah.
And it was just fucking crazy.
No, it is crazy.
Like, I lost somebody to a substance abuse and like the fucking like spiral and the hole that you fall in. Never thought it would happen to me. And then when it does, you're like, how do I cope with this?
Yeah.
How do I deal with this? How do I grieve this properly so it doesn't like affect me like super long term?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
But like at the end of the day, like life is also about death. You're gonna experience life and death in life.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. I didn't know how to do it. Like I didn't know how to process death.
Yeah, no, I still don't. I mean, to be honest, I feel guilty a lot. Like I've probably only cried about my mom like 2 or 3 times.
Really?
I want to cry over her and I try to force myself to cry over her, but I can't.
Because you feel like crying about it is the healthy way to deal with it.
I feel like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I feel like I'm...
a daughter whose mom died, you've only cried 2 or 3 times over her? Like, what's wrong with you?
Dude, isn't there 5 stages of grief?
Yes.
Okay, there's the denial of it, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
What's interesting is I feel like I go like back and forth.
I felt like I did as well. I think that's a normal thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's normal.
I was like, I've experienced those different stages at different times, different orders.
Want to know what's funny? The denial stage is the first one. It can look like avoidance.
Oh, I think I'm still in denial.
Yeah.
7 months later, still in denial.
It can feel like shock. There's procrastination, forgetting. That can feel like numbness and confusion. Easily distracted. So you start thinking about it, you just distract yourself, I think. And then you shut down. It can feel like shutting down. Keeping busy all the time. Thinking and saying I'm fine. And then what made you want to get that tattoo?
Because it's my response to everything. No matter what, I'm fine and it's fine.
Oh, jeez. That's fucking funny.
That was funny.
I personally, I don't like the word fine. Every time somebody says fine or I'm fine, I don't believe you. Like that means you're not okay.
Yeah.
That's my go. Like I'm like, ugh, do I have to dig for you? Because like I need to get this out of you. And if I personally say I'm fine, I know I'm not okay.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yep.
It comes out like that. Okay, wait, hold on. Anger, the second stage, can look like increased alcohol or drug use.
Oh, yeah. So my mom died in February. I came to Malibu Detox in March. And in that month, increased even more. It had already been a problem for years. But increased even more in that month.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. This is kind of like, is this hitting a spot?
Yeah, it kind of is. Interesting.
Getting into arguments, physical fights, irritability, sarcasm, pessimism. Can feel like feeling out of control, resentment, impatience, frustration, rage.
That is always me.
Bargaining. 3, ruminating on the future or past. So I feel like I think I heard you saying that, like, this is what my mom felt, and how you can, like, be a better mom in the future.
Yeah. Or like the whole past thing, like the morning my mom went to the hospital was the last time I talked to her. I said awful things to her. I was so rude to my mom. I said terrible things. I was like, Dad doesn't love you. Dad wants to divorce you. I was like, he needs to leave you. Like, he's not happy. Like, I was saying awful things to my mom. And I was also in a fucked up place myself. But, like, that's not an excuse. And then I came home later that day, and my dad's like, oh, yeah, Mom's in the hospital. She has pneumonia. And then she fell into a coma and died a week later, and I never got to talk to her again.
So that was the last conversation you had with your mom? There's guilt with that?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Do you forgive yourself for it?
Not really. But, like, I know she would want me to. But then I'm like, but she doesn't. What if she's like, Audrey, you stupid bitch?
You stupid bitch.
What the fuck was wrong with you
Why was that the last thing you said to me?
Yeah, so rude. Yeah.
But that's, like, our fear,
like,
turning inward. Like, what if she thinks this, that?
Realistically, I know she's not thinking that.
And then, so after bargaining, there's depression, sleep and appetite changes, reduced energy, reduced social interest. Depression can also as well look like increased alcohol and drug use, crying, reduced motivation. You had the depression period?
Yeah, but like I was just in a depression period, but I'm like, what if it had nothing to do with the grief? Like, it just came on.
There is a lot of back and forth with this, because I had the depression period, then I went back to bargaining. Like, nobody knew how my friend died. We don't know how he passed away. He just died in his cell.
You still don't know?
Still don't know. Shit. It was like federal investigation or like state investigation or something. Yeah. So like it was very like under wraps because he died in a jail. But then like I had to find a way to accept, which is the last stage, like acceptance of like, maybe I don't need to know how he passed. I just need to accept that he's gone.
That he did, yeah.
You know?
Like, you don't need to know the answers to everything. And like, because like with my mom, she went in the hospital for pneumonia and she fell into a coma. And then they're like, oh, she has stage 4 breast cancer that spread down to her liver. And I'm like, why did nobody know that sooner? She got a mammogram last year. Nobody knew. Nobody
really knew. And then that's like, yeah, placing blame on people.
Yeah.
Instead of being an acceptance, like nobody found it.
Yeah.
Until it was too late.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And then acceptance, mindful behaviors, engaging with reality as it is, being present in the moment, able to be vulnerable and tolerate emotions, assertive, non-defensive, honest communication, adapting, coping, responding skillfully. Generally, if we're not in the stage of acceptance, then we are in some way fighting against or avoiding reality. I feel like that was, yes.
Like, that is a work in progress. That's
for you?
Yeah.
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 It's really not easy to lose people, a fetus, people in general, but like everybody is going to experience it at some point, and coping with death isn't something we talk about.
No.
That anybody talks about, because it makes us uncomfortable. I don't know what to say if my friends passed away or whatever. Yeah. Like,
it's uncomfortable.
Let's find a fucking way to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I'm actually kind of proud of you, because you didn't talk to not many people about this, and then you go on a podcast going against the stigma. How do you feel? Are you scared?
I feel everybody around will now know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
How do you feel going against the stigma?
I am more open-minded. It's like, I don't have to fully agree with it, you know?
Fully agree with what?
The other view of it, but I can understand.
You can respect it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown to respect both sides, but I don't think anybody should.
But I still lean one way more than the other, for sure.
But going to the extreme, black and white, that's what I'm fearful of. Like I'm fearful of nobody understanding my view.
Yeah.
And then me being scared of that prevents me from owning my opinion. I'm one that exactly. to love. I'm truly working on it right now. Like, I need to know my opinion and like stand by it. I let people. Yeah. I like to pick up on other people's opinions and make it my own.
Them influence yours. And
yes.
Change it.
And that and doing that, I'm losing myself.
Yeah, you are. That's not being authentic, genuine.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I am in the process of doing that here with Fuck the Stigma.
Yeah, you are.
But here we're trying to respect both views and opinions and kind of just trying to put both sides out there.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you, Audrey, for coming on here.
Thank you, Laisha.